13 April 2023, Wednesday. Not talk with Brazil because I do not talk with criminal offenders. We will have something here that you are all anxious looking like, and it's the astrophysics issue, right? I'm anxious to have my life back, things I like to do, and the sports I like to practice again at this private space, and we will have our movie. We had this situation was the Hashman and a lot of things. The thing that you must have here before you start the astrophysics, it's the trend. Everybody here is kind of having the same trend. It's collinear, it's a relation by collinearity. So they all are at the same thing. Simple to that. It's an association by the collinear argument. Then we'll check that you could understand, thank God, that the density of things will carry from the things that do not exist into the things that exist, considering the light. And was presented like this until the existence or the function density until something that do not exist. Quite simple. Down here you could get this, that this movement allowed you to understand that the not existence in a very specific moment can be something that exists as a not. Now we must have this kind of things concrete by empirism and empirical presentation. I will have the argument as a friend of mine. This friend of mine has some, qualities. He's a pussy. And when people annoy, he is kind of very stupid, cruel. And this friend of mine is something, poor. And this friend of mine is kind of dorky too. And if you are following this, you kind of could get that this friend of mine is the uncle with all qualities that give me some. If you are following the issue, you could understand, even presenting the uncle son, that it's the uncle son hologram as idea. In your mind set the reference, and from the arguments Z, you could understand the quality as uncle son, giving you from the qualities Z the sense that we are talking about the uncle son. Right? We are offering the model to you understand, especially if you are owing money. The silence can be a crime. We will now have the domino theory that's not set yet, but you are always anxious. You will understand that the function density as existence has a relation with the function density as do not existence, and give me the idea as function. If it's the reversal thing, I would say. If we have this using the exponential curves, we will understand something that comes from zero, which is, for the example that do not exist, until something that exists, and projecting, we will have something here as zero up to something here, having our exponential curve by density of arguments. It's a positive curve, but here it will be kind of a negative curve by the reference we are having here. Now we will advance a bit more. We will understand now that this model indeed has as reference our brain that is divided. We have the left side, we have the right side. And we will check that this model gives me something like this, which will be presented after I got the things here. And if we consider in the way we are having the universe as kind of a lot of pieces, as a domino, all distributed here inside this thing, and it's something very harmonic presented at this, we will check at the very first moment that each single piece, and not considering the static movement, before have the motion, we must have the instrument to carry the I would say possibility to do the composition as motion. It's the relation as the force you need, in general you call as gravity, but we will understand that here our model, by qualities observed in each one of these thing here, that to get this trace, indeed I will have this trace got by the reference crossing arguments at the same moment to be presented as something static, despite not without movement, and it's not the static movement. Give me this idea here, this crosscut, x and z. Inside this thing here, I will have a lot of things happening, and I will observe now using the set theory and the theory of numbers that I will have by the things something kind of natural, and something natural kind of will be noticed as something real. And after you got something real, you probably will have something rational, and then you have the imaginary numbers. But as you can observe, we have here the division of this thing as something that exists and do not exist. Give me this sense here as contrary sense. Our crosscut presenting as argument that has the composition by the reference between the existent and do not exist. The thing we must have in mind here is like this. And after have this, we could get the composition to allow the motion through the numbers to quantify things, including the reality, quantifying reality by measure. The THEOREM books real thing all the time, even without time. We will check that if we have something here going like this, we will have maybe, and indeed we have, something that goes at the same sense, but as a contrary thing. Existence do not exist as field, and equally here. And if I could get the natural number, the real number, the rational numbers, I will probably got as reversal sense the rational numbers are the not rational numbers, the numbers that are kind of not real as the contrary thing, and the not natural numbers. And if the not natural numbers goes as something that by reference deny, for instance, the imaginary numbers, can you picture the relation between the imaginary numbers, which is the idea as quantum? The quantum research is about these things presented as imaginary numbers. The not natural number do not imply that it's not a number. It's a logical sentence here. But we will observe that by those kind of things, which is the behavior, I will have something equally for this side, which is my z as the naiad and the z as quality, right? If I can get the quality from the natural numbers and goes equally here as natural, real numbers, and then on, giving me the idea as natural reality, the reality as itself, which is things that you have for real, but it doesn't mean that they are natural. Kind of, we have spiritual things that are not natural, but can be quantified as energy. Then we come to the rational things, have the sense as energy, and here we have the gravity, right? And in the same way, if our movement put ourselves from the natural thing as a caveman until have the sense as gravity, which implies the reference, then that you qualify it as force. You have this argument here as the attribute of something rational or real that you have, and the density curve presenting this argument that it's not the negative curve as the actual would say, or things that you are considering the quality. We will check that this thing here kind of allow you from the quality you have present the measurement you need in each thing here crossed by the relation do not exist existence. Things in the middle, we have a space that contain both. If this thing is in the middle of someone that contain both, quite simple, it's Venn diagram. For sure, we will understand that the movement, the distribution as energy at the universe starts from the qualities you have inside by the qualities you can consider by the imaginary quantification, which puts ourselves to the status quo as this theory by density, which implies Before you have the density and you can't have the imaginary quantification of things, you know, which is this situation as moment, because it's not the imaginary thing, can't be quantified, has no density yet. But we are here. We come to this place and bring you all that has the interest in the model as astrophysics. By the reference, we set all this period in the same way. We had the distribution of quantities that allow you to understand that the uncle son is something on your mind by things you got. On philosophy, this is named reminiscence, and we had this history in the very first of the blog. Risk report, GSS Euro 2023 trace april.blogspot.com. As we told, we will move with this thing calm into it. You know, it's not a business. You don't have to put me on pressure in the way I must do against you, because you are defaulting my legal right under constitutional conformance, and by this applying fees and risk rates, increasing the value. Have a good night.